Hi, this is Darren Williger and
Chris Ruby, live from New York and Chicago.
And we have a cat with no name, but the topic for today is what not to vlog. So as bloggers in a relationship, are there rules specifically that we should be looking at as far as what to put online or not to in a relationship? And the answer is yes. So,
yes.
I don't know. I think there's that balance between what happens in privacy in a relationship and what you tag a million photos in. What could be some real good guidelines we can give people today on how to determine this, Chris?
First of all, I think that from a first date perspective, you definitely don't want to be the crazy psycho who's tagged 20 pictures after the first date, because it just sends off the wrong messages to someone that you're very obsessive compulsive and that you are very, what's the right word there, and that you are controlling. Would you agree?
I would completely agree. Plus, it looks a little bit stalkerish if you have 20 photos right off the first date.
Yeah, but if it's been a few months and my biggest tip here for you guys to take away is that if it's going out to your professional and social networks and you don't want to seem like someone who's unstable, who's chronically dating, you want to put out pictures where, whether it's the scenery or the place, the location, where other people can comment that they're not just commenting, on the sheer fact that you're, have the significant other now in your life, but they can comment on what the picture is actually about. Then I think it's acceptable.
100%.
Early on.
100%.
Yeah.
I don't think that any of us would want to look through each other's pictures without something of interest in there besides the people. Maybe one or two with just the fact that you're a couple. But, yeah, I want to see a landmark. I want to see where you're at, where you're going, be part of that journey.
We want to see the Statue of Liberty, guys. I mean, we want to see some real landmarks here.
Yeah, those guys in Jersey or wherever people get a view of the Statue of Liberty. So I think you're right. I think it comes down to you don't tell stories out of privacy. You don't discuss every fight or every discussion or everything that happens, but maybe you could talk about the highlights and talk about just, it's tricky. This is the area that we need people to be aware of, that it's so tricky because you can end up alienating yourself or alienating another person because of what you do or don't do here. Key is, don't do anything in new media you wouldn't do in regular life. So if you want to rent a billboard and put a sign up that says, hey, I dig Sue, or, Steve did this on our date, well, then maybe you shouldn't do that on the internet. And if you're going to send flowers to somebody in real life that's going to be in front of their coworkers, well, maybe that's something you do on the internet, and you could profess your love that way. But there is a balance, people.
I completely agree, Darren. And I think as a blogger, you have this obligation to your partner and an obligation as well to the audience. And I think that you have to finally balance both of them. And you also have to really be careful with what you put out there, because you're in the public eye as a blogger. You're not necessarily some celebrity figure, but in the internet you are. If you look at these huge people with, Darren has 150,000 followers, so people pay attention to where you're going and who you're spotted with. And what I've noticed recently is that, when I've been out with someone, I will now get messages online being like, oh my God, cute guy, who are you with, Sparkling Ruby? Now, let's just say that I'm with a male friend, and I'm getting the same messages, and then they keep seeing messages like this, who is Sparkling Ruby out with? Then that could give, whoever's dating me the wrong impression that all of a sudden there's this whole crazy thing going on that's not actually happening. So you actually have to be very careful as a blogger where you go and who you're seeing with, because people will take notice of it. And it's this whole internet celebrity craze.
Which is fun in and amongst itself, but I'll tell you this much. It's fun. That's the bottom line. So with the number of followers I have, I don't want to put up boring photos. I don't want to put 10 photos per event. I'm going to take one or two to let people be part of the journey with me. That's the whole reason I started blogging many years ago, was come on the journey with me. And that's what I still believe in. So as far as sharing the relationship online, it just comes down to respect. I've always followed these rules. Now it's so much easier for people to share every little nuance or thing that happens. We don't have to. Take a look at the big picture and look at it this way, people. If you're writing a book about your lives and you want it to be exciting to read, don't fill it with garbage. Fill it with the highlights. Fill it with things that are going to be fun to make that story understanding and inspirational.
Thanks, Darren. I think that's great. And catch us, and we'll be back in 2 with our next segment.
Thanks, everybody.